Welcome to the Possibility Action Network podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Middleton, aka Possibilityman. We are committed to bringing you guests who strive to better people's lives and serve as a force for good in the world. Our guest today is Felix Akintunde. He is the founder of African Foods. Their mission is to provide sufficient and adequate food in Nigeria and the rest of Africa. Felix Akintunde, welcome to the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, look, I'm looking forward to our conversation. You're doing good work in Nigeria and the rest of Africa. But first, I just want to make this program note to our listeners and our viewers. Your support matters. Follow, like, and share this podcast wherever you find it. Felix, I know that you're working with African Foods now, but what was your career before you got involved with food insecurity in Nigeria?
This is actually my first project. This is my first project. When I finished from university, I decided to come up with something I could do, something to establish myself. So I decided to come up with this project, African Foods, and it's all about exploring and showcasing African food to the world.
Uh-huh.
So so I have to like diversify with this new project, like to feed less privileged, which is still like kind of related to what I'm doing, like
Okay.
uh, explore explore African food, share recipes. Then the new project will be to like share food, care for less privileged, show support, and create support system to help the less privileged.
Uh-huh. Okay. So, what did you study at the university?
Mass communication.
Mass communication. Were you
Yeah.
involved with, food insecurity in college, or was this just a project that caught your attention after graduating?
Yeah, it was after graduating that this the project caught my attention, and that is what I've been doing for the past 8 years.
That's fantastic. Now, you mentioned two things a moment ago, and I just want to plug those a little bit. You said one is you want to share African foods to the rest of the
Yeah,
world. And then the
yeah.
other one is the less privileged. So, how do you share African foods and Nigerian foods in particular to the rest of the world? How do you do that?
Okay. I have a platform on Instagram. Like I have a page on Instagram. It's called African Foods. That's where I eat. I showcase African food to my followers, and I've been doing this for a while, and that is just it. And I love it, and I feel Instagram is a platform, is another way to like showcase my talent, to showcase African food to the world and to the African communities.
Yeah. So in terms of African foods now, you reside in Nigeria, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so Africa is a pretty big country. So are the foods there all similar? When you say African foods, or is there certain Nigerian foods and Angola foods? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
tell me about that. Yeah.
Well, not really. We have some common foods. Like we have some common food, but we have our own individual food that differentiates us from other African countries.
Mhm.
So it's just as simple as our cuisine. And I don't know. I would love to explore to like visit other African countries and actually check their food, but we have so many similarities. We have so many
Yeah.
foods in common. It's just the
Yeah.
recipes and the method of preparation and all that's different.
Yeah. That reminds me, I did a tour of Southern Africa, then West Africa a while back. And the foods in Lesotho and South Africa were quite similar because they were real close together. And then I found the
Yeah.
food, though, in Ghana to have been very different from the food in those other places. So, yeah, diverse. So, let me ask you, so so you share recipes with people that you're connected to?
Yes, on my page on
Uh-huh.
Instagram, I have uh, I have I have quite a number of people from all over the world, and United States, probably Africans in abroad, Africans overseas,
Yeah.
then African countries too.
Yeah. So what kind of comments that you're getting from these people? Once they, let's say, take a recipe, let's say one of your favorite recipes, and they try to prepare the food at home. What are they saying to you after they've done that?
Well, that is why we have the website. The website is the africanfoodies.com. So
Uh,
what we do basically on africanfoodies.com is users can take their recipes to the page. They can share with friends, connect with new people, connect with African foodies, then earn token for what they are doing and all. So
yeah.
what I do on the Instagram page is I eat. Like I don't know if it is okay to say I eat for a living, but I
Oh,
actually eat.
sure. Mhm.
Yeah, I eat on that page. I prepare good food, good Nigerian food or any African dishes that comes to mind.
Mhm.
So I create content around it and share.
Right. Yeah, sounds good.
So
But
I would
when you mentioned,
after this video, after this section, you can visit the website or visit the page on Instagram to see a bit more of my videos and see how it
yeah,
looks like.
yeah. Well, we'll put your information in the show notes so people will have the opportunity to visit all of your social media links. But when you said that, you eat on the show, and I kept thinking that sometimes people who are chefs, they become big and fat because they eat. But look, you're a slim guy, so you must not be eating that much. Uh,
Well, I don't know. This is my stature. Then
uh,
sometimes I do workouts.
uh,
I work out. Then I eat what I need to eat. I don't eat excess. Then I eat right.
okay,
So
gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah, I want to explore it a little bit. So, in terms of eating right, are you also sharing with people how to eat a balanced, meal so that
Balanced
they can
diet.
become
Yeah.
so they can become as healthy as possible? Do you also share some insights about that?
Well, I actually do. If you check African food, if you check our food content, the
Mhm.
content is very rich. If you don't abuse yourself, if you eat your balanced diet, if you eat properly, if you eat at the right time, there is no way you're gonna get all these other side of it. So
Mhm.
you're gonna be good, like really
I
good.
got, I
So I
got you.
share. I always make sure that the message I'm passing out is not about obesity or eating the wrong way.
Yeah,
So
I got to
it's
tell
all
you.
about showcasing the richness of African food.
Got you. Okay, that sounds good. Now, so in addition to sharing recipes and the variety and richness of African foods, as you've just said, you're also interested in what I'll call food insecurity, the lack of food or
Yeah.
limited food supply in Nigeria, in the African continent. So, why were you interested in this?
Well, I wouldn't say just Nigeria or Africa. I think it's everywhere. I believe it's everywhere. But my focus is Nigeria because right now, if you check the number of the rate of poverty and the rate of food scarcity and all those kind of stuff in Nigeria, you see that it needs a special treat. So that is why I'm actually coming in to like be a support system, contribute based on the project I'm doing because it's food related and I have to like contribute from my own side. So that is the main reason why I'm doing this.
Yeah, and you're right. Food insecurity is a worldwide problem. Here in the United
Yeah.
States, we have food banks, and other parts of the world that probably have similar kinds of things. So, in Nigeria in particular, do they have anything similar to a food bank or food banks throughout the country so people could take foods and try to feed those who are
Yeah,
less privileged?
yeah, I'm very sure there are probably some governmental projects that
Mm,
cares for that program. So I have no doubt about that. I'm sure. But this is
mm.
just coming from me and my project to be a support system to add value to contribute.
Yeah, I think I think it's a great project. I mean, it's something that should happen and probably is happening around the world for sure. So when you look at the problem of food insecurity in Nigeria in particular, even though it affects, this is a problem around the world, why do you think this type of problem exists? That people just don't have not only enough food to sustain their health, but also not have, sufficient quality, good foods. Why do you think
Yeah.
this problem exists in Nigeria?
I think it's first is probably uh poverty. I don't know. Poverty is probably the main reason why there is food insecurity. And another thing is probably the lack of proper care, lack of education, and I don't know, it's just so much that I just need to like take my time and visit, explore the project and see what comes out of it.
Mhm. Yeah. So, I mean, poverty is a big one because once again, that's a problem that's worldwide. There's going to be a segment of the population that just doesn't have adequate resources. But sometimes people say, Felix, well, why don't they just get a job? So what about opportunities for a person to really help themselves? I mean, so yeah,
Yeah,
if my
I
question,
actually understand. I understand what you're trying to like say, and the main reason why I don't know, I would probably have to say this because getting a job sometimes can be a bit difficult. But if you are less privileged, it's either you are an orphan or you are a widow or you are, or I don't know, you are a beggar. But as long as you are
yeah,
not physically balanced to work, you don't have enough strength, or I don't just let's just say inability to work based
yeah.
on physical appearance, yes, physical appearance, health-wise, or stable condition.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're so right. I mean, sometimes people are out of work for a number of reasons. I mean, around the world, some people have retired from their jobs, right? And they're old and they can't work anymore, or all
Yeah.
kinds of reasons for that. Yeah. But you also said a lack of education. Tell me more about that.
Well, some people do lack education because they cannot send their kids to school. They don't have enough resources to take care of their children, all those kind of stuff. So
Mm,
education, lack of having good education can also cause this kind of problem.
yeah. On one of your social media pages, you mentioned, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you mentioned that some people do not have access to
Yeah.
education. And I thought, boy, this is interesting. Why would they not have access to education?
Like I just said, some parents don't have enough capital to like send their children to school. So it's probably a big issue and a big problem when
Mm,
nobody is coming to support, like to support them to get what they need to like put their
mhm.
kids in school. So it's it's not so good.
So access doesn't, limited access doesn't mean that some of the schools are closed to some
Well, not
people or that
close,
kind of, okay, okay.
not close. Schools are always available for students to like come in, but once when if you don't have capital, if you don't have resources to send your kids to school, there is no way they can actually go.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay. Now, on one of your social media pages, and once again, if I got this wrong, correct me, but I think you said that sometimes political instruction obstructions also
Yeah.
contribute to food insecurity. Can you tell us about that?
Well, that is actually correct. Sometimes political instability is one of major problems that we have. I don't know, it's perhaps worldwide, but it's also affecting us in Nigeria. So
Mhm.
it's one of the major reasons why all these though the government are trying, I won't say they are not, but they are trying. But they can't do more than themselves. They do what is best, they leave the rest. So
Right.
then the reason why I'm doing a project is to be like contribute, add values to whatever they are doing. So
Sure. Yeah,
yeah.
that sounds good. Yeah. Now, the last thing I saw on this point at one of your pages was that you feel, well, you tell me. I thought I saw you write something like discrimination is also one of the reasons why food insecurity may exist in Nigeria. And can you walk us through that? Because sometimes, Felix, when people think about discrimination, they'll think the United States, they'll think Britain, but then Nigeria, and some people may not understand that.
Well, what I would say is, uh, Nigeria is Nigeria is a very busy, heavy, populated country. We have number of we have I mean, our population is large, and I won't say anyway. What I'm trying to say is we will not have this discrimination issue as a problem, but it is also a problem because sitting sitting on the street begging and trying to like get food is something that I believe is not normal, because it's actually because they lack these opportunities, and that is why they are trying to like sit and get food. And yeah, trying to get food and take care of their kids.
Now, I've noticed, as I've reviewed your pages on social media, helping, solve this problem seems to be a passion for you. Where is that coming from? Why is this such a passion that you have?
Well, this is basically because I've been around, I move around, I've visited some places, I've seen a lot of people trying to struggle through life, trying to like provide food, trying to like survive after so many issues they've been battling with. And there's a lot of challenges when you need help and you can't find one. So
Mhm.
the big yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
thought yeah. So I just thought to be like to add value and to be a support system and contribute my part and do a little to like add value.
I think it's a great project, Felix, for sure. You mentioned a mission of African Foods in various places where you have sites on the internet. And I mentioned that when I introduced you. Talk with us about the mission of African Foods and why that's important to you.
Wait, can you come back again to that question?
Yeah, you've talked about the mission of African Foods on various social media platforms, and I just want you to share with us that mission and why that's important to you.
Well, Africa is homeland. India is my country. So growing up, when I was a boy, growing up like a child, growing up, I had little experience with my grandfather. I've seen a lot of farm produces. I've seen a lot of food crops and so on. So after my school, after graduating from university, I decided to like explore African food content, like get to know some food that I've missed, then try to bring back the ones I've seen before, then try to like see new possibilities and see new content. So it's something that I really love, and seeing and creating content about it's a lot of motivation.
Mhm. Yeah, I've seen some of the pictures that you have on various platforms with you and the children that you work with. What is that like working with those children and helping to provide for them?
Well, it's actually fun. The last time I was
Mhm.
there, they were very happy to see me, like someone coming over to visit them. It's always put smile on their faces. So it's one of the reasons why I volunteered myself to like visit them too. So I can actually be a part of what makes them happy.
Mhm. Have you ever had the experience of walking into a situation where children or anyone, really need additional, foods for their lives, and you walk in with your supporters and provide it. And, what is their reaction to someone like you coming in and actually helping them? How did the children respond to that?
And the children are always happy. They feel so good. Like
Mm,
they're always happy to see us around. So
yeah.
it's a thing of, yeah, makes me feel
Mhm.
good too when I visit them. So
Yeah. Yeah. You've also mentioned on various platforms that not only do you provide foods to the people you work with, but you also try to teach them life skills. Can you tell us about that?
yeah, it's something that I would love to do if I have enough resources. It's something I can actually do for them. Like maybe ask them about their skills, what they can do, what they are able to do, then what do they need to like get the work done. Then we can decide to provide them with whatever it is they can use to like put them on a straight road so that they can be balanced.
Mhm.
So that is why
Do
the
you,
idea is.
yeah. Do you also work with them about, because I know you said earlier, that access to education is an issue. Do you work with them about, seeking out opportunities to further their education?
Yeah, it's probably one of the reasons why I'm starting the project. I
Mm,
want to be able to like contribute to whatever it is they need to get them going. If it's education, if it's something you want to start doing for yourself or a business, or something you want to that you're struggling with or battling with, and you need help with. I think it's the
mhm.
main reason why the project is available.
Yeah. At what point, at one point, I saw in what you've written about African foods is that you all were engaged in advocacy. I'm not sure if you still are or not, but are you or have you been engaged in advocacy in Nigeria to solve the problem of food insecurity?
Well, this is my. Let's say I've visited some places and I've done quite a few of these projects, and I'm actually planning to like take it a bit forward or more forward than what I've done previously. So that is why I'm trying to like get fully involved and to be able to like function it well. So as time goes, I would love to explore more possibilities.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. So, what are some of the current needs of African foods so that you all could, carry out your mission?
Well, right now, what I would need is probably support from people that would love to like share up this project, like people that would say, okay, let's support this guy because of what he's doing. Then we'll take it over from there, then add values. I also plan to like visit some of these non-governmental schools, or even government schools, like primary from early stage, buy books from maybe just books or writing materials just to get the project going too.
Okay. Felix, is there anything else you care to share with us that we have not discussed already?
Well, nothing really. I think we've actually discussed most of the major points required and necessary.
Okay, great. Well, I think you're doing great work in Nigeria. Good on you for starting this project called African Foods. Thank you for being with us
Thank,
today, Felix.
thank you.
Okay. You've been listening to the Possibility Action Network podcast. Our guest today has been Felix Akintunde, the founder of African Foods. I'm your host, Stephen Middleton. Until next time, good day